Good morning. Thanks for joining me. This is one of those day after videos where I reflect and decide on a plan. I'll put a slide up of what happened yesterday and then talk you through it. Here we see the bike laid on its right side, partially on a turntable, what was it doing? How did it happen? How can I prevent it? What did I do next? Basically, I was testing out my latest version of the turntable. It's a circular wood turntable for baling hay, so it supports a fair weight, and then mounted on it is an aluminium checker plate panel with a number of casters. I wanted to test the latest variation to see whether it would hold the bike safely and allow me to rotate the bike within the garage. The purpose of the turntable is to avoid pushing the bike backwards out of the garage. Yes, I can do it, but why struggle if I can create something that allows me to ride in on the turntable, turn it, and then ride out the next time I want to use the bike. Sounds simple enough. The variation I was investigating was whether I needed casters on the extension under the front wheel. First test suggested yes, I did, as the framework of angle iron just sagged and touched the floor, creating too much drag. So I pushed the bike partially off the turntable and then fully off. And attached, I won't call it welding. Anybody who's used to welding knows the term pigeon shit. I'll call it PS in the future so not to offend people again and again. So I attached 2 casters and it was time for testing. I had two choices: push the bike on the turntable, standing on the right hand side of the bike, or power the bike up and walk it up. I tried both, and the powering it up and walking it up was much better and much more controllable, in inverted commas. The following sequence is what happened when I got the bike almost in position on the turntable. As we see, it topples over on its right hand side, and I try and save it. So I'm holding on to it, but it's sapping my energy, and the inevitable suggests that it's got to go down, only to be picked up again if it's possible. Lowering it to the floor of the garage, taking care not to break anything on the way down, I was confident that it would stop when it come to the aptly named crash bungs fitted either side. But then I was left with a job. How do I pick it up again? Throughout the sped up footage, you'll see that I had a couple of attempts, but it was never going to happen apparently. And being on the turntable made it even worse. There was a bit of slipping and sliding and a bit of height difference. The wheels were off the floor more than they would be if it wasn't on the turntable. I stood the bike up after once when it fell off another project turntable outside the garage. I stood the bike up by inserting a scaffold pole into the frame and pulling on it like a lever. That was just at the edge of my capability. But yesterday's fall of the bike was a whole new set of circumstances. Inserting the scaffold pole was possible, but not as much leverage as the previous attempt, because I was inside the garage and I had the constraints of the roof. You see me hang off the scaffold pole. The bike tried to lift, but I just couldn't complete that final effort to get it up and over to drop onto the side stand, which is mounted on the left hand side of the bike. Giving up the idea of just using leverage with the scaffold pole, I decided to put into plan a relatively long-term plan I'd had for producing a lifting beam in the same garage using two short sections of ladder the same scaffold pole placed on the top rungs of the ladder, and then a winch I'd had for many years to do the heavy lifting. Late last year I bought some new strops. These are very well padded and adequately strong enough. The idea was to use them to tie down the bike on the trailer, but they would have to earn the keep today by wrapping around something on the bike and also attaching the lifting winch to the crossbar, which was the scaffold pole. Once I'd got the ladders positioned and the scaffold pole spanning it, which needed a crowbar inserted inside it just to span the width of the ladders, because the scaffold tube is just too short. That's something else for the shopping list of the never-ending pit, the money pit. There is mechanical hobbies in the garage. How to empty your wallet without really trying. When I produced this video last night, it was 2 hours 15 long. Hence today's new production, where I'll speed up the prologue, where I weld on the casters, put the bike on the turntable, bring it back to normal speed video when the bike decides to lay down, and then speed up the proceedings again as I lift it using the winch. When I say lift it, it's just a long-winded, simple process of positioning the lifting strap, lifting the bike as far as I can, positioning some packing underneath the bike, lowering off the winch cable, taking a new bite at the problem and lifting it again. All I had to consider was when I got it just about within my capabilities of pushing it over centre onto the prop stand, I had to leave enough slack on the winch so it could actually move far enough to let the prop stand support it. But that was a simple enough task. So what have I learned? I've learned yet again that these modern super sport bikes are way too top heavy. I don't know who's designed them, but when they've done away with the bottom frame members and using the engine as part of the construction and strength of the bike, they've created a monster of a bike, and they're all the same. All of these 600s, 1000s, 1200s, they're all top heavy. Why do we put up with it? Well, it's to go 145 mile an hour on a track, I suppose. They do kick out some amazing power, quoted at 100 horsepower from this 600cc, round about 11 or 12,000 revs. So that'll be fun, but you can't live in fear of a bike toppling over and you'll never be able to pick it up. So that's an issue on the back burner constantly. How do I live with a bike which weighs so much, and that weight is all at the top of the bike? Yes, I overcome the adversity, the challenge of picking it up, innovating the gear I had. It could have been worse. It could have trapped me next to the garage wall, and I would now be the subject of news at 10. Skeleton found next to a much loved YZF 600. I don't want to go that way. Pinning full throttle is more my exit strategy. So let's have a look at the speeded up video, and hope you enjoy some content from this entertainment value, even if it's just how to not do things. Thanks for watching. Join me again soon. Fucking hell. Where there's a will, there's a way.